I never thought I'd find my purpose in a place where most people go to wait for the end. But that's what the Peace Valley nursing home became for me. Purpose. A quiet, comforting rhythm filled my days. Changing sheets, checking vitals, holding frail hands through long nights. Most of the residents were sweet, grateful souls with stories that spanned generations, and the staff, for the most part, were the kind of people who kept the world running when no one else noticed. There was peace and compassion, and working there made me feel like I was making a difference. But there was one employee that made things feel off. That employee was Tina. Tina was a festering wound in an otherwise healthy body. Everyone knew it, but no one said anything out loud. It was hard to miss. The snide remarks to patients, the carelessness, the way she left things undone or done improperly on purpose. She'd brag that she didn't have to worry about consequences because she was dating Martin, the owner. And she was right.
She bruised my arm when she helped me into bed last night. I told her it hurt and she just said, "Well, that's life, sweetheart."
I'll take care of it from now on, Mrs. Gracie. You won't have to deal with her anymore. But that was a lie. I couldn't promise that. No one could. You reported Tina and the complaint would vanish. HR would review it. Martin would look into it. And then nothing. It became a game of quietly minimizing her damage. It really felt like she was untouchable, no matter what she did. There were so many incidents that it would be impossible to mention them all. There was the time she forgot to plug in a resident's oxygen tank. Tina, why is Mr. Cummings's O2 unplugged?
Oops, must have slipped my mind. He's still breathing, isn't he?
Yes, but he's struggling. That's how I discovered it.
Well then, no harm, no foul.
Well, no. He was freaking out and felt that he was going to die. It probably terrified him.
Oh, stop being such a little bitch. He's still alive and that's all that matters.
Even though she then went and hooked up his oxygen, Mr. Cummings ended up in the ER that night. When I brought it up during our weekly staff meeting, Tina just smiled, legs crossed like a queen on her throne.
Oh, please. If he needed constant monitoring, maybe he should be in a hospital, not a nursing home.
He needs competent care, Tina.
Then maybe you should stop being such a Boy Scout and toughen up. He's alive and that's all that matters. This is a nursing home and all our patients are old as dirt. Old people die all the time.
But we should make sure that they have the best of care.
They're old. Stuff happens. We're just here to check in on them until they finally kick the bucket. Jeez.
And Martin, always watching from the corner, said nothing. It was infuriating. A patient almost died because of her incompetence, and nothing happened. I genuinely wondered what it would take before Martin would finally do something. How many patients would have to die before Tina would finally be punished? But then, just a few weeks later, while Tina was working the night shift, she fell asleep on duty. Mr. Ricky, who was under Tina's care, fell off the bed and died as a result of neglect. Tina had been dozing off and only realized what had happened after Ricky had already passed away. Security footage later revealed that Tina had neglected Ricky throughout the night. In his desperation, he had tried to get out of bed on his own, which led to his fatal fall. However, Martin covered up for Tina and ensured that she faced no consequences for her actions. After that, I kept my head down. It was no use. No matter what I said, Tina was untouchable, and it did me no good to fixate on her actions, no matter how they negatively affected the patients or fellow workers. 2 years passed, and I learned to sidestep the landmines. Tina would curse out certified nursing assistants, snap at patients for ringing the call bell too much, and once told a confused man with Alzheimer's that he should try remembering his pants next time if he didn't want to be embarrassed. I told myself I was doing the best I could by shielding residents from her, but deep down I knew I was complicit in my silence. Even though I did my best to try to undo her mistakes, it didn't matter. I couldn't keep picking up after her messes forever on top of doing my own tasks. Plus, there was no way that I could catch every mistake. And then came the day that changed everything. We were short-staffed. Everyone was scrambling. I was assisting Mr. Hollander, who needed a Hoyer lift transfer. Tina barged in, annoyed.
You're still on him? We've got med rounds to do, Eric. You need to prioritize.
I am prioritizing. He can't move himself. He needs 2 people for this.
Then do it alone. I've done it myself 100 times.
That's against protocol. and you know it.
Oh, boo-hoo. Write me up if it hurts your feelings.
She walked off, leaving me to struggle lifting the patient alone. As she did, she tossed a clipboard onto the counter and took off to go have an early lunch, not caring that she left morphine doses unattended. Later, I found that she hadn't even administered those pills to patients that direly needed them. Instead, I found them just sitting on a tray at the nursing station. They were just sitting there where anyone could grab them. The open bottle that held the unused doses sitting on the counter nearby. These were heavily controlled substances, and we had to document whenever we gave them to patients. And here they were, just sitting on the counter, as if they weren't important at all. That was my final straw. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I kept thinking, how many chances has she had? How many people did she harm while the rest of us were too afraid or too powerless to stop her? Something had to change. And that's when the idea came to me. Not justice, not revenge, just removal. When it popped into my head, it made me feel a bit uncomfortable. But the more I thought about all the situations when a patient almost died due to a lack of care because of her actions, the more I felt justified about what I was intending to do. Every evening, right before her shift ended, Tina made a coffee, black with too much sugar, and drank it in the break room. Routine, predictable, convenient. I had nitroglycerin pills, prescribed to a resident, tightly monitored, but Tina never checked medication counts. Ever. The next day, as Tina made her coffee and walked away to take a call, I slipped 3 tiny white pills into her cup. They dissolved quickly. I didn't stick around to watch her drink it. I just went about my day, charting vitals, checking blood sugar levels, smiling at patients. The next morning, the entire staff was all talking about the latest gossip. Alice, one of our nursing assistants that was a regular target for Tina's wrath, came up to me and was smiling broadly.
Hey, Eric, did you hear? Tina got into a massive car wreck last night. She passed out at the wheel, rammed into a guardrail on I-43.
Holy crap, is she okay?
I don't know. From what I heard, the paramedics pulled her unconscious out of her car. But here's the kicker. They found tons of pill bottles in her purse. Painkillers, morphine, oxy. She had at least 8 bottles of each.
Seriously? Was she stealing them?
Looks that way. Makes you wonder how long she has been doing so.
She hadn't even bothered to remove the Peace Valley labels. Sloppy. Word traveled fast. The police investigated. It didn't take long to connect the dots. As it turned out, they found that she'd been stealing narcotics for months, possibly longer, and selling them. She was charged with a slew of crimes and thrown in jail while she waited for a trial. When the date came, Tina's lawyer claimed that Tina had no idea where the drugs had come from or how they ended up in her possession. The judge didn't buy it, as the police were able to discover that Tina's bank account showed huge spikes in cash deposits every other week, and a few of the people that Tina was selling drugs to even came forward and admitted to buying from her for a long time. The charges stacked up: drug trafficking, theft, reckless endangerment, 6 years in prison. After that, Martin dumped her. He pretty much had to save face. He even did it very publicly and made sure to try to distance himself from her as much as possible. But that wasn't the end. As it turned out, the nitroglycerin had done more than make her pass out. It caused a stroke. As a result, she was paralyzed on her left side of her body now and would be confined to a wheelchair, face slightly drooping, speech slower for the rest of her life.
She's in County General now. They say she'll never walk again and that she'll need full-time care.
I should have felt something, horror maybe, or guilt, and I did, just a little. But mostly, I felt relief. The nursing home became lighter, happier. The staff smiled more, patients laughed more, and felt more relaxed and less anxious. Even the walls seemed to breathe easier. It was as if a dark cloud had finally moved on. There are nights when I wonder if I crossed a line. I could have reported her more. I could have gone through proper channels with the police maybe. Instead, I just made her go away. And not exactly in a morally or ethically good way either. But then I think about Mr. Cummings, gasping for breath, feeling anxious as he struggled to keep breathing. I think about the bruises on Mrs. Gracie's arm and how she felt victimized by the person that should have made her feel safe. I think about how Tina would have kept stealing, kept hurting, kept walking around like she was untouchable, And I realize she's not hurting anyone anymore. Justice isn't always clean. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's 3 little pills and a cup of coffee. But sometimes, that's enough. Thanks for watching.